How we doing, everybody? It's your guy Wardy here, and we are currently reporting live yet again here from Los Angeles, California, as I was in attendance for Game 1 of that 4-game set against the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium, where the Mets won in extras after Edwin Diaz blew his save. Sadly, they lost in an extra inning fashion, a walk-off fashion, a Freddie Freeman and a Brendan Nimmo pass ball yesterday, miss ball, whatever you'd like to label it, and we're going to further expand on those thoughts today in our latest Big Mets update segment, that being June 4th, 2025, because not only are we going to talk about the down, which was Brendan Nimmo missing that ball, but the positive, which has been his bat as of late in the 2-hole. And from there, we're also going to talk about Juan Soto as he continues to find his swing for the Mets this season, the positives on that front, and the key positives in today's video, and probably why you clicked on it to an extent, what is happening there in the farm, because there are some tremendous things happening on the pitching front yet again. Not only did Brandon Sproat have a rock-solid outing right around 2 to 3 days ago, but Noel McLean this past day had himself another sharp outing. Jonathan, who has been unbelievable over his past number of starts there for the Rumble Ponies, had another jaw-dropping outing for them today at the time of this video first being recorded, everybody. So we're going to break down all the latest of Mets land, our initial impressions of Ryan Mauricio's first game and everything in between. Getting you guys set there for Game 3 against the Dodgers late night there on the East Coast, but on the West Coast, thankfully, isn't too bad for your guy Wardy today. And I do have a story to share with you guys regarding my interaction I just had with Jose Siri. And no, I'm not joking. I have a true Jose Siri story to share with you guys here in just a second, but first and foremost, make sure to smash that like and subscribe on as you guys first chime in. I greatly appreciate that, and let me know all your key reactions to the following topics in the comments down below today, folks. And please make sure to check out our content from this past day on our video of the official news of Ryan Mauricio getting called up to the Mets, and obviously our post-game reaction analysis last night to the very unfortunate walk-off defeat there to the LA Dodgers. And as always, shout out to our amazing sponsors here at SeatGeek to have you covered for all of your ticketing needs, folks. If you don't know SeatGeek, everybody, you better know them now, because not only do they have over 70,000 active events to choose from, making them the #1 rated ticketing app in the game today, folks, but SeatGeek has truly separated themselves from the rest, not only for Mets tickets, concert show tickets, comedy show tickets, you name it. SeatGeek on all event aspects has you covered for your ticketing needs. And what I love so much about them, and is exactly why they're now a channel on sponsor here throughout the entirety of the MLB season, thanks to you guys utilizing our promo code WARDY10, link down below the description. But before we get to that call to action, more here in a second, everybody, let's talk about what I love so much about SeatGeek. And as you guys can see right here, is how they separate themselves from the rest with their app, specifically their grading scale system for how good their tickets are and the bang for their buck. They have a scale 1 through 10, and it goes from red to green. If it's in the green and more 7 to 10 range, it's a great bang for your buck, and you should seek those tickets there in the app. If it's more in the 1 through 5 range in the red, then they are probably a bit more pricey than they otherwise should be, and you're better off seeking tickets elsewhere there, still in the SeatGeek app, everybody. So again, they're honest, and that's what I love so much about them. They're so easy to work with as well, and I've been utilizing their app well before, again, they've even been an official channel sponsor on WardyNYM. So now it's up to you guys. You guys want to save some dough here on your Mets tickets? Head over to SeatGeek by clicking the link down below, and it's hyperlinked. So if you click it right away and you already have the app downloaded, it'll say Wardy10, 10% off discount added to your account for your next ticket purchase. And again, guys, I highly implore you to utilize it for Mets tickets if you're watching this video, obviously, but you don't need to. Anything in the ticketing space, they have you covered for your next ticket purchase. Check them out, and shout out once more to our great friends at SeatGeek to have you covered for all of your ticketing needs. But now, as we hop back in this one, everybody, let's get into our key discussion today. And I want to begin here what have been the positives for the Mets as of late, even in what was a very frustrating walk-off loss the Dodgers this past night. Listen, I will just say this as someone who usually gets very hot-headed from these games. I have a mellowness to myself, and I don't know exactly why that is, but I think it goes a little bit in hand with just how entertaining these ball games have been between the Dodgers and the Mets. I think that's the main thing here. Every game has been a pretty good game so far between the two this season, even the games the Mets have lost. Think about it. The Mets Game 1 loss there, sadly I was in attendance, 13-inning extra inning defeat there to the LA Dodgers there in Game 1 of that 3-game set at Citi Field, not even 2 weeks ago. Fast forward to present day now, the series are currently, and you win the first game after blowing it with Edwin Diaz in the 9th, and you get a huge couple runs there that we saw thanks to Alvarez and Lindor there, if I'm not mistaken, 2 nights ago when the Mets won, thankfully. And then yesterday, again, the Mets had to lead the 9th inning. Huascar Brosman just throws a fastball that catches way too much of the plate middle upstairs for Max Muncy to rip his second home run of the effing game, because of course he does. And then they ultimately go on to win that one in extra innings because, again, the Mets bullpen was shot. You couldn't utilize Reed Garrett yet again. You can only utilize him so much, right? So the Mets were really tied when it came to their reliever options for that Game 2 series, and it did get exposed to a degree leading to that defeat, because the Mets were 4 for 11 with runners in scoring position this past night. So you can't even say that, oh, this was a runner in scoring position issue. It wasn't. Ronnie Mauricio was obviously underwhelming in his season debut, but I expected that, batting from the right side mainly there against Kershaw as a switch hitting option. Mauricio is famously known as more of a lefty bat option early in his career, so I'm not surprised to see him labor there, grounded into a double play that we saw early in the ball game as well. But again, early growing pains for Ronnie. I think he's going to be just fine. I look forward to seeing him hopefully back out there in the hot corner or somewhere, maybe even if it's DH for game 3 of the 4-game set, because you got to keep him playing, obviously. Hence is why you called him up in the first place. But going from guys that the Mets called up, let's talk about guys who are not only here, but they're clear mainstays. And the two mainstays that we think about right now that were notable this past night, outside of Pete Alonso, were obviously Juan Soto, who had yet another home run, everybody. Make that another bomb for Juan Soto. He now has 3 home runs and 2 doubles over his past 5 games. Yeah, I'm going to go on a limb and say that Juan Soto is officially starting to get locked in. No doubt about it. He's now .001 away from getting to an 800 OPS on the season. Baby steps, but we're finally getting there, everybody. And Juan Soto taking Clayton Kershaw deep is just, it's going to happen. That lefty-lefty matchup, you can't be throwing 91 down the pipe, middle, expecting Juan Soto, a generational type talent, to not rip that out of the ballpark the way he most certainly did. Soto entered this series against the Dodgers, everybody, with a little under 1,000 OPS there, fantastic offensive numbers, and a just under 290 batting average with at least 12 RBIs in 20 games there at Dodger Stadium. And obviously that 2-run tank yesterday made it a 1-run ball game before ultimately the Mets got the lead thanks to Brandon Nimmo. And sadly, you could argue that the Mets lost the game in part because of Brandon Nimmo missing that ball there that was slicing there to the left side from Freddie Freeman. And obviously Mendoza gave him the benefit of the doubt, and Nimmo explained it thoroughly after the game what had happened from his vantage point. So again, I'm not going to go out my way to rag too much on Brandon here, what was just a very unfortunate turn of events. But what I will say in the case of Brandon Nimmo is that there's one thing that's been working for him lately, even though it wasn't that final play to end the game and have the Dodgers walk it off. It's been his production in the 2-hole. No doubt about it, everybody. Brandon Nimmo is finally starting to thrive and looking more comfortable. And if we remember correctly, everybody, there was a stretch of time last year where Brandon Nimmo did thrive in the 2-hole, specifically not long after we saw him moved out of the leadoff spot for Lindor there around mid-May of 2024. And then he did get in the groove. Nimmo was tremendous in the first half of the season last year. The home run accolades were awesome. And then the second half, he completely fell off a cliff, as we know, because he had the plantar fasciitis he was dealing with. And he just could not find consistency. He begins this year toying between the 4 and 5 spots, and toying between batting cleanup, fairly often with Vientos is not an easy thing to do for a guy that isn't accustomed to being in those spots. He does have the home run power, and he has the gap-to-gap ability, no doubt, but having a guy who's built his game on contact ability, great eye and awareness at the plate, and obviously working his walks to then deviate away from that when that's exactly why you got your $8 million contract, not $8 million, I apologize, your 8-year contract extension for that to then deviate your initial philosophy because of the configuration of the lineup, that was hurting Brandon Nimmo. But now back towards the top of the order, Brandon Nimmo's thriving, and he gave the Mets that lead. Let's not forget that this past night there with that huge RBI. And again, great 2-out hitting that we saw by this Mets team as well this past night. Again, there were a lot of things I liked in this matchup against the Dodgers, who, mind you, have a depleted rotation right now, everybody. The Mets need to take advantage of the opportunities given them right now. They're without Blake Snell. They're without Tyler Glasnow. They're without Roki Sasaki. They're without a lot of key pieces, and they have not pounced nearly enough. So that's what made this past night's loss all the more frustrating, in my opinion. But at the core of it, Brandon Nimmo, has he been performing better with the bat as of late in the 2-hole? No doubt about it. You can't deny it. The numbers show you that he has been thriving in said 2-hole over the past 6 games or so since he's been in it. So if it ain't broke, why fix it? Let's keep Brandon more in that spot more often than not. That's what I would like to see, obviously. And then in the case there of Juan Soto, again, happy to see him finding his swing more. I don't like that's coming at the sacrifice of Alonso out of a guaranteed first inning at bat with him back batting in the 4 spot, but he is finding his swing a little bit more at the same time too, as Alonso had some very productive hitting yesterday, and again with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Alonso had 2 of the key RBIs for the Mets yesterday, which you love to see. He was just very productive for the Mets when they need him to be, and that's why Alonso has a 286 average and a 921 OPS on the season, everybody. But before we talk about more on the farm and really what I want to get into in today's video for each and every one of you, I have to tell you guys my Jose Siri story, because guys, I start my day, so just a little background, I'm currently residing in the Beverly Hills area for the number of days I'm here. I'm flying back home. I'll be home early Friday barring changes, and as I got my day started, taking a stroll there with my guy Borna. If you guys know Borna, he's used to be one of the biggest faces, if not the biggest face in the Padres content space. He's been more busy on the sports business side of things outside of content creation itself. Great guy, great friend of mine. We've been having a blast hanging out together. And we go for a morning stroll to grab a cup of coffee. And on our way back walking, just walking around Beverly Hills in general, I look across the street, and who do I see? It's Jose Siri walking with his girl. So right away, I'm like, okay, I got to go say something to Siri. So I go up to him, and I'm wearing the same hat and outfit that you guys see right now. The typical Wardy outfit, black shirt, Mets hat of some sort. Go right up to him, zap him up right away, say, how you doing, Jose? Big fan of yours. Then I just asked him the general questions. How was his rehab going? And he said, good. He actually asked me a question first and asked if I was at the game last night. And I said, no, I wasn't, but I was there the night prior. So I was happy about that, obviously, versus last night's walk-off loss. But it was a brief conversation. I didn't want to hold him up because he looked like he was just having a nice little morning with his girl, as he rightfully so does. And for those that are wondering, Jose Siri, yes, is currently traveling with the Mets, probably taking BP with them and doing some on-field work with them in LA right now. And then he'll obviously, I'd imagine, travel with them to Colorado. And then he'll be back with them after that when they're back home eventually. So Siri is making great steps in the right direction there when it comes to the BP he's been taking and his field work. He just hasn't done a whole lot of horizontal movement yet from what we know reportedly. And I didn't bother to ask him, on that front, really, like, where is he at in his rehab process? I just asked him, how's he feeling right now? And you can clearly tell that he's excited and wants to be back out there soon. But really, really cool to run into a guy like Jose Siri. Second time that I've ran into a player just nonchalant like that. The first time was Jose Quintana at First Watch Breakfast Spot, if you guys know that, in Florida. And this happened 2 spring trainings ago. And this was, mind you, hours before it became official that he was going to be out for a while that season. And I asked him how he was feeling. He's like, good. And then literally like an hour later, Mike Puma of the New York Post reports that he has a lesion on like his left or right rib. He's going to need a procedure. And that was brutal to hear right after meeting him, but just funny how out of all the players I've randomly interacted with, like on the prowl, in the same state or city of where that team is currently playing for a week or a number of games, it's guys on the injured list, obviously, but it's 2 guys who I obviously liked. I liked Jose Quintana a lot when he was on the Mets. He had ups and downs, but he was, again, nails where he needed to be. And Jose Siri, I like a lot. You guys know him. He is a lightning bolt. He is all or nothing when it comes to like everything in his game, but he's absolutely electric. He didn't have a limp or anything like that. He looked like he was healthy and in good spirits. So that was great news and a little story for you guys that I want to share. And no, I didn't take a photo with him because if I'm being completely honest, guys, I'm kind of at a point now where as a talking and stuff, I'm not like as interested in trying to get a photo with a player anytime that I meet them. I'm trying to build a relationships, if anything, and just interact with them more. So I wasn't going to fangirl, especially with his girl right there as well, as we're just nonchalant walking around in Beverly Hills. And that was a fun little thing because out of all the celebs and out of all the people that you can see in Beverly Hills, I guarantee that I was probably one of the only people in this general area that would have realized who he is for what he is, right? And Borna recognized him, but didn't realize at first who exactly he was. And he hits me, he's like, you know who that is? Because he just recognized his face. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Jose Siri. And he was dripped out. Nice outfit too, but that's enough of the Wardy tangent. TED Talk, everybody. That's my little Jose Siri story of the year for you guys. So we'll see when Siri returns. And God forbid, if you find out any reports that there's a setback, then clearly Wardy is the bad jinx just by dapping him up. But all right, guys, now let's get on to why you probably clicked on this video. That has everything to do with what is happening here in the Mets minor leagues. And let's start here with a pitcher, guys, that, again, is just jaw-dropping every single time out there right now. It gets better and better and better. I introduced you, everybody. Yes, let's have the discussion on Mr. Jonathan. What an outing for Jonathan, guys. He just finished the start or the past hour or so at the time of recording this video. 5 shutty, 0 hits, 0 earned runs, 3 walks, 11 strikeouts at 87 pitches. This is the second start over the past 3 starts, if I'm not mistaken, for Jonathan, or the past 4 rather, where he had pretty much a no-no going. Like his previous game he had a 6.2 perfect inning game going, and then they had this reliever Shook come in for the final out, and that was 2 or 3 starts ago. Jonathan has been unbelievable that we've seen at the Rumble Pony level right now, guys. Just take a look at those numbers and take a look at the highlights. Again, 11 punchies from our guy today. So let's get into what works so well for Ton today and why he's been so impressive at this point, everybody. I just can't get over it. 87 pitches, 55 strikes, everybody, for Jonathan. And he is now AA hitters, mind you, entered today's game against Tong with a 151 batting average against him. And they all went 0 for 16 against him today. So pretty decent, if you guys ask me, on the Jonathan front. Yeah, very, very impressive from what we got from Jonah today. And a couple of things I definitely want to highlight as to what have stood out most on his front have a little bit to do with the fact that you just have such a unique arsenal, I think, is what I love so much about someone like him. You have the fastball that really plays up. Obviously, you have a disgustingly good breaking ball. He has a true starter mix already. And, you know, he entered today's start before he had the 0 for 16 for the opponent batters. He entered today's start with a roughly 41% K rate, second in all minor league baseball among pitchers with at least 40 innings pitched. Kind of elite, kind of really, really good in the case of Jonathan, everybody. And it doesn't stop just there, because I have more Jonathan numbers I have to relay for you guys. And these were numbers before, mind you, Jonathan had this start as well. Let me just see if I can find them quick, because they were absolutely absurd from the last time I looked at them. Maybe I won't, and that's okay. They just, where Jonathan ranks in the minor leagues, especially in AA, among eligible pitchers, is absurd. He's kind of towards the class of his own right now, and that's why it's not a matter of if, but when he gets called up to AAA Syracuse this season. He is undoubtedly going to be there sooner rather than later, and I cannot wait to see it happen, guys. Jonathan, what an arm, what a weapon he has been for the Mets in the minor leagues so far this season, and he looks like a guy that can not only play up at the major league level potentially before the season ends, but as a guy who could really start to compete for a rotation spot to begin the 2026 season. He himself, Brandon Sproat, obviously, to a degree, if he can get things in more of a groove consistently in AAA. Brandon Sproat did allow 2 or 3 earned runs in 5 innings over his last start a couple days ago, so not terrible, but still not the sharpest outing either. But again, better than getting rocked the way they did in a lot of starts in AAA so far. But Kristen Scott, who is expected to be fully healthy before the end of the season, he's ready to go for the rotation next year too, should the Mets consider him there. And then we have another key arm to get into, as this is a man that could be impacting this rotation sooner than anyone else right now. Yes, even sooner than Jonathan, as crazy as that is to say, because listen, Tong isn't at the Syracuse Mets level yet, but you know who is? It is Noel McLean. Noel McLean, his latest outing didn't go as deep, but still in 72 pitches, 4 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks for a 2.01 ERA in AAA. And the sample size alone in the first 4 to 5 starts of his AAA career, Noel McLean has done more consistently than Brandon Sproat has ever done at the AAA level for comparison. Not only does McLean have one of the most disgusting sweepers that you guys see right there in the highlights, but he just has a true starter mix as well that really feels like it can play up at the major league level as soon as this season. Not only do many believe that him and Tong have some of the best stuff out of not only the Mets farm, but out of some of all farms in the National League in general. That's how good these guys play up right now. But McLean looks like a guy that could potentially impact this Mets rotation as soon as the second half of the season, if not sooner. I don't think the Mets are going to need a rush to him with guys like Frankie Montas having his latest rehab outing, and I will share some not so great news. Montas did not look good at all in his latest rehab, but if there is any context behind that, at least, it is bearing in mind that, you know, this is the same Frankie Montas that is only having his second or third rehab outing. He has a lot more work and ramp up to do naturally, but Montas did allow, I believe, 5 earned runs in his latest one. He did. He had 4 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs that we saw there for AAA Syracuse. 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, but that will be changing soon. He just gave up 1 too many home runs. He gave up literally 3 home runs to the same batter and Will Robertson, and gave up 4 total. So yeah, batting practice with Frankie Montas in his latest rehab outing, but he will get better and he'll be back in this Mets rotation sooner rather than later. Paul Blackburn looks unbelievably elite, as we know, as he made some really fine and key adjustments that I want to give a quick shout out to my guy Isaac Grofman for, because Isaac, who has a great article for you guys to check out there on his socials at Isaac Grofman X specifically, he did a breakdown on Paul Blackburn on what he changed about his arsenal leading to his 5 shutout outing against the Dodgers, in which I was in attendance, and that including scrapping his four-seam fastball entirely, adding 5 more inches of depth on his sinker, and having a new changeup in sweeper shape. So I'm going to expand on that more next time Blackburn's out there, as he might be utilized as a reliever, but Desi Driscoll's been working with him greatly. But the reason why I'm going on this pitching tangent, going back to McLean, is that even with all the abundance of options the Mets have, and Sean Manaea working his way back, and who will be beginning a rehab assignment shortly, Noel McLean is still clearly a guy that could impact them at the major league level as soon as this season. That is how good his stuff plays up, everybody. So all I'm telling you is don't be shocked should he get the call at some point this year, whether it's a month or 2 from now, or whether it's down the stretch really closer towards the end on the season, whatever it might be. It's going to be Noel McLean versus himself when it comes to how soon he could potentially impact things at the major league level. And then obviously the Mets' depth on their pitching end will have a factor as well, but we'll see exactly how Manaea and Montas do once they get added to this rotation. Final thing from your guy Wardy, everybody, and then we're going to get out of here, is the latest on the farm report. This was from this past night, and then tomorrow I'll have more content for you guys dropping. Might not be on the farm report, as we actually have a separate video probably dropping on a little bit on the rumor front, so I guess you guys will have to be on the lookout for that. Yes, we will be having a lot more of those conversations on the platform every single week pretty much now up until the deadline starting tomorrow, if not today. But we saw there at the low A level, everybody. Well, let's actually start in the DSL, because there was some great news. Elian Pena made his long-awaited, highly anticipated DSL debut. For those that don't know, Elian Pena a couple days ago made his debut, and he is the $5 million signing bonus, the largest in Mets IFA signing history. Shortstop prospect. They're very excited about him, and they expect him to potentially hit the major leagues very early in his career. He went 0 for 2 with a walk and 2 hit by pitches, so not his fault there. And in low A, we saw Wellington Arasana pitching and going 4 innings of 2 earned run balls, 6 strikeouts. Franklin Gomez won 3.2 shutty with 6 strikeouts. He looked great. Shout out to my guy Ernest Dove. Shout out to Ernest as well. He was great on the prospect front. I know that he likes Franklin Gomez quite a bit. And shout out to City of Dreams, or whatever his tag is again. I love him so much. There's a guy specifically on X every single day that tags me in everything on the Mets minors related. That keeps me in tune to make sure I don't miss anything. I really appreciate that too. Shout out to him. You know exactly who you are. Then in high, everybody, we saw AJ Ewing have a 1 for 3 game, 2 walks, 2 stolen bags, batting well over 300 with, right around a 900 OPS. Carson Bench, 2 for 5, stolen bag, playing the outfield, if not DH. Great game for him. He's been batting right around 300, north of 1,000 OPS all year. He'll be moved up soon to the Cyclones. Ronald Hernandez, 1 for 5 with a home run. Starling Mercado, 2 for 4 with a home run, a walk, a stolen bag. Jesus Baez was fantastic, 3 for 5, a double, 3 RBIs. Baez is tearing the cover off the baseball. One of the hardest hitters in all the Mets minor leagues. So happy to see him getting the groove that he's in right now. RJ Gordon won 3.2 innings of 1 earned run ball, 6 strikeouts there for the Brooklyn Cyclones. Then in Double A, we saw Nick Morabito go 2 for 5. Love that from Nick, who was the Mets minor league batter of the year last year. 2 RBIs and a double. Kevin Parada finally gained that average close to 200, everybody. 3 for 4 with a home run. Love to see that. JT Schwartz, 2 for 3 with 2 doubles and a walk. And Joander Suarez, who I like quite a bit there at Double A, 4.1 innings, 2 earned runs, 8 strikeouts for Joander. And the Triple A level, Frankie Montas again gave up those 5 earned runs. Then McLean went 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, and Donovan Walton 1 for 2 with a home run and 2 walks. Folks, that's going to do it for our latest Big Mets update segment. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be on the lookout for more content dropping later on today for a post-game reaction or recap. Might be on a different setup than this right now. Just might not have highlights running depending on where I'll be tonight, because again, still out of town for a good chunk of the week here, but we'll have coverage for you guys after that Game 3 win or loss against the Dodgers, and then be on the lookout for more pre-recorded video content dropping tomorrow on the platform. Thank you guys again. As always, no matter what, let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.